Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another Average Fisherman video. And today's video, we got a real banger. I guess it'd be kind of considered controversial. I'm sure I'm going to get some, both sides of the opinion here. But today's subject is bass fishing tournaments and bass fishing in general becoming too expensive for the average person to go out and just to go fish tournaments and bass fish for that matter. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. All right. So welcome back. I thank you all so much. And if you're enjoying today's video, please hit subscribe and turn on that bell notification to get the latest and greatest from me as I make this content to help you become a better bass fisherman and a better angler. And today we're covering a topic that can be considered, I guess, kind of controversial. And I'm expecting to have good comments and some hate comments and just controversial comments. And I just ask that if you do comment or you send me a message, just, be cool about it. I love to talk with my viewers and followers, about stuff like this. And what we're covering today is bass fishing becoming too expensive for the average person? And I'm really going to dive on more of the side of bass fishing tournaments. Now, if you all don't know, recently the Bassmaster Elite Series released a statement saying in order to be eligible for, the Elite Series, you need to fish all 9 of the elite tournaments, to be eligible for the following year, if I read that right. And it struck a lot of controversy online and a lot of thoughts on both sides. And I want to start off by saying I'm not going to sit here and hate on any organization. I'm not going to hate on any particular person. This is just going to be my opinion and my sight, from just my view, from where I'm at in the industry, for me. Okay. So I've seen a lot of guys reach out and touch about this online. I've seen a lot of pros, chat about this. And first and foremost, I'm not affiliated with Bassmasters or any of these big organizations, like in general, that put on these monster tournaments. So BF, the Bassmasters, I'm not associated with MLF. Like, I'm not a pro. Okay. Yes, I do go fish a lot of the series that they offer at the lower levels, aspiring to become a pro. But we're going to talk about, is it becoming out of reach for a average fisherman like me and all you wonderful people out there to attain their goal of becoming a pro fisherman? Look, there's so much content out there about this subject. I mean, something that has stuck with me for a long time is I seen an interview a long time ago with Jared Swindle and Skeet Reese. And they talk about when they were on tour, they wanted to be successful so bad that they were sleeping in their trucks, and him and Skeet were going and splitting a Happy Meal at McDonald's together because they couldn't afford to buy anything else. They had to put their money together and they split a Happy Meal. I want that to sink in for a second. And that was many, many years ago. We're talking many moons ago when these guys were first on the tour for Bassmasters before they went over to MLF and then come back, which one of them come back. I want that to sink in. Back then, I don't quote me. I don't know if that video was 10 years ago or, however long, but it was in their early years of fishing. It was expensive back then, and it was hard to accomplish that goal. It was not impossible. It's improbable. But it really determined how bad do you want it? Are you willing to sleep in your truck? Are you willing to, do those type of things in order to become a pro and accomplish your dreams? And we all know how, if we just look at the price of a bass boat right now, today in 2022, compared to 5 years ago, what a bass boat cost, it's just astronomical how much it's gone up. Now, I'm not going to disclose what I paid for my new Phoenix that I just bought or, ordered not that long ago. But I will tell you this. I was sitting down with Fane from Fun and Sun, and we were having a awesome discussion about how much the cost of boats have gone up since he's been in the industry. And I think he's been doing it for over 25 years. So with that being said, I mean, we had a really good in-depth talk about the price of boats and where it's going. And the reason I bring the boat thing up is because it's going to get me heading in the direction of, first and foremost, if you don't have a boat, you can't go out and fish tournaments. Now you can go, you can go fish from the bank if you will. There's rules within, certain tournaments that, specify that. But I mean, if you really, let's be honest, if you want to be successful and you want to get out there and do the things that you need to be doing, you got to have a boat. And I want to refer back to what I heard Rick Clunn say in an interview. He said, he was asked, hey, Rick, why do you fish out of a Z20, a Nitro Z20, and not a Nitro Z21? And he said, man, the price of boats is just insane. I don't need anything more than a Z20 to fish out of. I don't need a $100,000 boat to go out and catch fish. He made a really fine point. And it was nice to see a pro say that, and with that being said, you could go out and you could have a John boat and you can go out and catch giant bass and be successful at tournaments and beat a lot of guys that have all this expensive technology. But if you got to pay, let's just say you're paying $70,000 for a boat. Okay. So now you have a boat payment and you've got insurance and your entry fee. So let's just say you want to fish the Toyota series, okay? You have to have $1,700 up front to enter those tournaments. And, you go throughout the year, I think it comes out to be like right around $7,000 in entry fees. So you got to have $7,000 entry fees. So you have to come up with that money, just an entry fee, $7,000 to fish it, okay? And then that's not including the gas that goes in your truck, the gas that goes in your boat, any lures that you break off or any lures that you need for a tournament. And that doesn't even include that if you're the average working person like me, I work, Monday through Friday, and you got to take off work. Now you're missing work and you're not getting paid for that time. So then you add your boat payment, insurance payment, and you get my point. Now, I'm not sitting here complaining. This is not me sitting here saying, poor Chad, nothing. No, okay? I choose to do the things that I do because I want to be successful, and my goal is to eventually get to somewhere like the Pro Tour, which we're going to touch on that at the end. So how it usually starts off is that you start off fishing like your local tournaments on your lake, where you pay $120, and you start doing well, and then you kind of move up to fishing the BFL. Okay, the Bass Fishing League. And if you remember in the early days, FLW had it. And, now that MLF has acquired all of them, it's, the Phoenix Bass Fishing League. And that entry fee will be $200. It's a one-day tournament. They have different divisions for whatever state you're in. And, that tournament's going to consist of basically, a one-day shooter, which is usually on Saturday or Sunday. And you're going to go out and it's going to be a 5-fish limit. You're going to have a co-angler and, you're going to basically have flighted boats, meaning that, whatever boat number you draw, that's your takeoff time and weigh-in time. Okay. And it's going to cost you $200, gas for the boat. If you got to drive to the lake, lodging, food, all that stuff. What's nice about the BFLs is it's a great starting point and it's a great place to get comfortable fishing this style format of tournaments with a co-angler. And 9 times out of 10, it is in your local area of your lakes. It's not going to go outside the state. It's going to be within the local area, so you don't have to do a lot of traveling. And it's a great place to start. And a lot of people that say, Chad, I want to get into bass fishing. Like, I want to get into tournament fishing is the actual question I get asked. And I always say, okay, well, how long have you been fishing? And I get the feedback from them and information. And I tell them, start going as a co-angler first. Sign up in those BFLs to go as a co-angler. I think it's $150 or $100 for a co-angler. And what happens is you're going to bring all your tackle and stuff and you're going to get in somebody else's boat. and you're going to go out and you're kind of at the beckoning, call or the will of that boater. But what it's going to help you understand is like how the takeoffs are structured, and how the lake looks, and you even get into inside information on how guys are fishing the lake at a certain time of year. It helps you get a feel for the tournament, and helps you build confidence to go over to the boater side and start doing that stuff yourself. So $200 entry fee, completely reasonable. Now, where, in my opinion, the BFLs are structured to where, and today everybody wants to go out and compete in tournaments, and they don't want to pay a really high entry fee, but they at least want to be able to go out there and get their money back. And the BFLs are kind of structured like that. The downfall to that is if, you get so many anglers, they're paying out down so many slots. Well, the more payout you have, the higher, on the list you go. So if you pay out 100 boats, well, that takes away from the top overall prize or the top 5 guys. The smaller number in payouts they have, the bigger number the top 5 guys are getting. And there's good and bad to that. And each organization tailors to different style of formatting, like I just said. And then you've got the American Bass Anglers, the ABA. They're just kind of like the BFLs. It's the same price, same setup stuff. And, you get all walks of life that fish these things. You get your new green guys, you get people that, really have no idea of what they're doing. They just want to compete. You get guys that are dead serious that have been fishing on the Toyota series, and they're dropping down. They're also fishing the BFLs to help themselves, get their names out there more. And I've seen pros. I've seen like big time pros drop down and fish the BFL, and I don't even want to touch on that subject. That's a whole different video, but it's open to everybody is my point. And, so $200 will get you competing. It'll get you to stay in your local area for the BFLs, and it'll help you get that broad tournament experience. Now we jump up to a series that's called like the Toyota series. It's the stepping stone to go into the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. And the Toyota series is comprised of guys that are really a couple different walks of life, guys that are aspiring to become pros, like get that invitation to go to fish the Pro Series, which some of the guys got around here, this past year. So congratulations to those guys. And it's also got people that can just afford to go fish, that's got a bunch of businesses or a business, or they've got a lot of money and they just like to fish. And it's also got co-anglers, guys that are wanting to get up to the next level but can't afford to go buy a boat, but they want to compete. And that'll cost you $1,700 off the top of my head for an entry fee. And like I said earlier in the video, gas, food, and they do travel around the state a lot further. So they're going outside your traditional bubble of your local lakes. Like they'll fish some of the local lakes, but you might have to drive 3 or 4 hours one way to the next lake they're going to be at. And where it starts getting really expensive is I got to take off work at least 4 days. Because if I want to be successful, I need to take off from my job, if allowed. I need to get up there on like Tuesday, fish Wednesday, and the tournament starts Thursday, and it's Friday and Saturday. They make a cut after day 2. So if I really want to be successful, truthfully, how it looks like is I need to go up there the weekend before, and maybe even the weekend before that, especially if it's a lake I've never been. If I've never been to the lake, I need to get up there. I need to get on that lake after I've done my research and all that wonderful things that you can find a lot of information about on my YouTube channel here. And I need to get out there and practice. Okay, so I'm spending money going up and back and lodging and so forth, unless, a lot of times, I just pull up to a local state park area, sleep in my truck, go put in the water, fish, eat. I just need really food and water and a place to lay my head down at night, for me. And it saves on money. I have a family. I have bills just like everybody else watching this video. And it's tough. I only have so much money to allocate towards me fishing. So where I want to really start diving into is, as I've talked about all of that, what do you all think? Do you think that tournament fishing is starting to get too expensive? Do you think that it's getting out of hand with the entry fees and what they're costing and, versus payouts? Um, what I'm going to say is that one thing that it's getting tougher and tougher to do is I hustle and I work really, really hard to attract sponsors that help me fish what I want to fish because I can't afford it out of my own pocket. Now, what I will say by that is it is a very saturated industry now. Just about every business out there in your local community, if you live close to a lake, has been hit up by about 4 million anglers wanting their sponsorship. And a little key thing, what I'll tell you is that one, you need to be able to market and advertise for a company and advertise yourself. Because if a company, you want to get their help to, you want their sponsorship, and sponsorship comes in several different forms. They may be giving you product. They may actually give you money to put towards your tournament fees or whatever it is. That's how it helps you get to where you want to be. And having sponsors and wonderful sponsors that you're going to start seeing right now, right behind me, scroll through, they are all wonderful companies that help me do the things that I want to do in the tournament scene. And what I want to say is right now, if you're all getting any kind of useful information about what I'm talking about, please just hit subscribe. You can, click on it actually over here on this corner where you can see my little face popped up. And you can subscribe right now in video and turn on that bell notification if you could to get the latest and greatest from me. And you'll get notified as soon as I put out any type of content to help you become a better angler. So back to what I was saying is it becoming unattainable to go pro? So it's really important that, like, I'm trying to really word this in a way because I don't want it to sound bad, but for the average person out there that is out there grinding and hustling, okay, and if you've got a family, you can only go fish so much. Is it attainable to get to the pro series? Yes, it's achievable. The route's not going to be beautiful and it's going to be painful unless you get some really, really good placement and you score some big wins on tournament trails. Okay. It does help you get noticed. And those sponsors, what I was talking about is, sponsorship, like I said, comes in many different forms, but you do get wonderful companies that give you X number of dollars in return for marketing and advertising for them. Okay. And that helps you get you, cause you, every year when you go to fish a tournament or, whatever series you want to fish, I should say, you already have a money goal in mind that you have to raise yourself and hustle to get you just to be able to fish that. No, everybody, a lot of people think that you just you take that money and you go do it, you whatever you want with it. I mean, no, you're putting it towards your goals, things that you want to accomplish to get you to where you want to be. And like my goal is to eventually get to the pro series, and time's ticking. I'm only getting older by the day. And when you get to the Toyota series level, okay, and I learned a lot about this, through the last, 4 years, really getting on the water and fishing a lot since I've been out of the military. At the end of every year in the Toyota series, okay, so you're going to rack up at least $7,000 in entry fees. You might as well figure you're going to rack up another at least $8,000 in lodging and gas and lures and all that kind of stuff, okay, throughout the season. So, you need somewhere around, let's just say $15,000, raised up to go and kind of fish that. And that number might be high. I'm just jiving numbers. I'm throwing them out there. Okay. But I mean, I have sat down and I know the math. I do the math every year, how much money I need to raise through sponsorships and saving my own hard cash and hustling on the side, to make some money to go fish tournaments. And, that's not even including my boat payment that I have and insurance, like I said before. So After you fish the Toyota Series for the year, you're going to get to a point where if you are top 5 in points of Angler of the Year at the end of the year, the top 5 guys get the invitation to go to the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, which is the next step up. And that is a true pro circuit. I really do consider the Toyota Series more of a pro circuit these days with the amount of anglers and caliber that's fishing everything these days. But for, purposes of this video, Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit is a pro circuit, okay? And when you get to that level, that's when the reality really sets in. That's when you're like, whoa. I watched a video a while back, and it was Todd Castledine talking about, he was telling a story about when he first got that invite to, I think, go fish the Bassmaster Elite Series or something like that. And they're like, hey, if you're going to fish it, we need this money time now. And he was like, whoa, it set in. So you kind of get that butt pucker factor when you actually officially make something like that. And they're like, hey, man, we need X number of dollars by this date to secure your spot to go fish on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. So now you're like, oh, man, I need to get out there and, I really want to make a joke here, but I don't want to make it about a certain site that it's blowing up these days, but I'm not going to make it. But you're out there hustling now for sponsors. You're going on your social media platforms and you're telling everybody, hey, I qualified for the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit this year, and I really, really need help from a big title sponsor, which a title sponsor is somebody that comes on and they give you a big chunk of money to represent them in everything that you do. And, they help you get your entry fees paid for or whatever it is through the year to allow you to fish that. And you get on there and you're not begging, but you need to sell yourself. Because I'm going to tell you all right now, like I told you at the beginning of the video, for me, if I was ever blessed, by God with that wonderful opportunity, I would have to take to my social media or start a GoFundMe or something in order to just make my entry fees. That is no joke. And that is when you reach that point, you have to decide right there. It's like running a business. You've reached a point in your career where either you're going to make it or you're not. And you have to take that leap of faith. And some guys, some girls take the leap of faith and they go a year or two and they don't make it because they can't afford to do it anymore. You got some guys and girls that take that leap of faith and, they rack up wonderful sponsors and title sponsors and, they're working really hard, hustling for money, and they're making ends meet to do it, and they become successful at it. What I want to say is if I was ever given that opportunity, I guess I want to look at it in a form of where I'm at. You can't make fish bite. You can't go out and always be successful at every tournament, no matter how much time you put into stuff. Sometimes stuff just doesn't go your way, and maybe it's just not your time yet. But if you're successful and you're consistent and, you do stuff like I'm doing here, making social media, making YouTube content, doing TikToks, eventually they will come to you. Sponsors will come to you and they will help you grow and they will support you along the way, just like you're going to support them and help them grow along the way, grow their business. So this is a controversial subject. There's going to be people that's going to get on here and be like, that's not true, man. Anybody can do it. Man, it's just my opinion. Not anybody can do it. Yes, everybody has the given the same opportunity to go and do it, but you got to come up with the money because at the end of the day, it all just comes down to money. If you don't have the money to do it, well, you can't put your name into the hat. And I like to refer to sports. I was actually talking to my dad about this on the phone yesterday. Sports. Every pro team has some type of walk on to try out for a team. You can walk on and go try out for the St. Louis Cardinals. There's days for that. And in the fishing world, you don't just get to walk on and go try out for the Toyota Series or the Bassmaster Elite Series. You really got to grind and earn your way into those places. And a lot of hard work goes into reaching that point. And that's why when you see these guys on stage, they kind of like have an emotional breakdown when they win a big tournament. It's because there's so much stress going on out there that a lot of times these guys, and they're out there and they're like, I have to make a check to keep doing this. I have to place high enough to at least make my money back and maybe to cover my fees of gas and stuff to go to the next one. And then you've got guys that, you know, you'll hear a lot of guys say if money's an issue and you're going out there and you're just trying to fish and make a check, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing. And that's true. And where I would tell you is like, this is what I did. I can't afford to go fish some of these higher echelon tournaments because of the entry fees. I just have a family, bills, and everything that I've got to take care of. And what I do is I looked at it from a perspective like, what can I afford to fish? And I go fish those things that I can afford to fish. And I want to be the best that I can at that level. So it gets me to a point where I attract wonderful sponsors. I attract a title sponsor. I attract things that's going to help me get to that next level to where I don't have to necessarily worry about going out and just cutting a check. I can now focus on going out and winning the tournament or getting in the top 3, going big. And that's where I said the BFLs are a wonderful place to start. $200 can be a lot to some people, and I understand that. But if you can afford the $200 and you're out there and you reach a point in the BFLs, go out and start trying to fish big. Go out to win the tournament. Go out to take second or third. Don't look at it like I just want to come in with 12, 13 pounds to cut a check and make my money back and compete. If you want to be successful, you got to have that mentality of go big or go home. Now, I will say this, when you start getting into the bigger tournaments, points matter. They really do matter, and you're placing for placement. So you might go out with that big mentality of I'm going to go out and crush 20-something pounds a day, and I'm going to fish spots and big baits and things of that nature to try and get to that point. And you know, let's say you're successful day 1 of the tournament and day 2, it's kind of falling apart. Fish aren't biting. Well, then your wheels start turning in your head. You're like, all right, I need to get some kind of fish in the boat to just help me get up on the leaderboard, to help me make a cut for day 3. And then day 3, let's say, you know, you're 30 pounds or 35 pounds, you know, out of first place or second place or whatever. Well, then your mind starts working at like, let's go catch what I can catch to try and move up on the placement in order to, you know, secure myself some more points for the season towards Angler of the Year, or secure points to fish my championship or regional. So everything that I'm talking about, you know, I didn't really sit down and have a structured list of how I wanted to talk about stuff today. But what is everybody's thoughts right now, what I'm talking about? Do you think that the fishing industry and tournament fishing in particular is pricing itself out of future potential customers or future potential anglers? Do you think that the industry is set up for success long term? You all know that MLF did a thing the last couple of years where if you qualify for their series on certain things, you don't have to pay entry fees. You know, other organizations, you know, have tried to make it more favorable by paying down further to anglers, but it takes away from the overall prize package pool that's towards the top. And then you've got tournaments that, you know, only focus on a big payout at the top, and then it drops off really quick. You might win $50,000 for the first one, and then as it drops off in a hurry, you know, like you might only be making $500 or $600 in, you know, a top 10. So I just want to hear everybody's thoughts on this. And like I said, for me, this wasn't about I'm sitting on here and griping, complaining about how expensive everything is getting. I mean, I hustle hard just like a lot of other guys do. And I know there's guys out there hustling harder than me right now. And that's what I keep in mind every single day. You got to be grinding. You got to be working hard. And I've got that end goal in mind. And, you know, it does get discouraging when I reach out to a lot of companies and, you know, you got a wonderful email planned out and you show them your analytics on Facebook and you show them everything out there that you're doing to help market and advertise for a company. And they just say no. You're going to get a lot more no's. You're going to get a lot more failures then you will be successful, or yeses. And what I will tell everybody is don't stop. Put your head down and grind and push through. Be humble, be positive, be grateful. If I get a company that says no, I'm like, thank you so much for your time and consideration on the matter. If you have any other thoughts or you want to revisit this, please reach out to me and we can, get on the phone or we can email back and forth to work out some kind of deal. The amount of no's you're going to get is always going to outweigh the amount of yeses. But when you get those yeses, I promise you're going to cherish them. So that kind of brings me to the end of today's video. Let me hear your thoughts on this. It was just a quick, it's not really quick, but we kind of talked about, is fishing getting too expensive? Are these, $10,000 entry fees, for the year, $7,000, or, $1,700, $2,000, $3,000, whatever it may be. Is it reasonable? Are they asking too much for entry fee money? Are they putting this stuff out of reach for the average person grinding to work their dream out? There's going to be people on here right now and they could comment like, well, baseball players, football players, only like 1% make it. That's true. But what I'm going to tell you is my caveat / argument to that would be playing baseball, like in high school and stuff like that. The only thing that cost me was my parents, my mom and dad worked really, really hard to buy me cleats and a bat. And a lot of times there was fundraisers for our jerseys and things like that. So I had to go out and perform. Yes, you got to do the same thing to be successful in fishing. You have to go out and perform. But I have to have X number of dollars pre-raised every single tournament to go out and be successful. So it's a two-part deal. I have to go out and perform, but I also have to have the money in place to be able to perform. At least in the baseball thing, you can do a walk-on, or if you're playing for a sports team and you're performing, you can get noticed and get pulled up. That would be the caveat that I have to anybody's argument about that one. So with that being said, I hope this video finds everybody well. And I thank you all so much for all your support and everybody following me out there right now. And if you do like what you're hearing, please, once again, hit subscribe and turn on that bell notification for the latest and greatest from me. And I can't wait to hear everybody's thoughts, comments, and opinions on this. In the comment section, if you comment, please keep it nice, okay? I love talking with everybody, but a lot of times, we know the world's full of hate right now. And let's just try to have a civil conversation about something. And I think that's overlooked a lot more. People get too angry too fast and get personal feelings involved. So, as always, God bless you and God bless the United States of America. Until next time, everybody, Marler out.